You need to hold on to it when you come back in to sign. Maybe I'll see if I can get one of those. Sign out by the thing at some point.
Yeah, we'll put a project sign.
That would be cool. I drove by today and it was cool.
Congratulations, of course.
What'd you say?
Culture. And okay. Huh? That's how we did this, like pretend to mock pictures, just to save some time. Already.
And doing the oath?
Now it's starting to load. Oh, that was weird.
Where's Terry at?
Not the official headshots. Just the official photo to put
Just the
on
official
website.
group photos, so we can put on the website and put in the resource guide, stuff like that.
When I got back from
It must be a read.
I did all my email.
Maybe later.
I woke up on my phone.
He's already up there.
So now I just have anymore. Now I just have to chill.
Be ready?
Night.
Wow.
Ready? She ready? And you ready?
O-M-O-U-M? Let me look it up.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, January 6, 2015 City Council, City of Oldsmar City Council meeting to order. At this time, I'd like you to rise for our invocation and our pledge, which will be led by our City Attorney, Mr. Tom Trask.
Our Heavenly Father, may we come to understand that blessings are everywhere, that our attitudes will affect outcomes, that challenges are often gifts in disguise. May we come to trust that most things can get better with time, that our instincts and gut feelings have value, and that a positive attitude makes things go smoother. And this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, thank you and welcome to our first meeting of 2015. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and got to spend it with their loved ones. I shipped my mom off yesterday and she called me today and she's in 3 inches of snow and I said, too bad for you. Our first order of business is our oath of office to welcome our new council member, and that will be conducted by our city clerk, Ms. Ann Nixon.
Mayor, can I say
Yes,
something?
go ahead.
Sit down a minute.
Can I say something?
You'll learn that real quick.
I just want to say this, that this is a very joyful occasion for you and your family, and it's a new beginning for you and for the council, which is makes everybody happy tonight. This is also a very solemn time. I happened to be mayor when Janice was first elected, and she was elected to seat number 2. And her and I had many episodes together. The flying gavel head, but when she sat here, to me, seat 2 will always be Janice Miller's seat. So as we joy tonight with you and your validation to sit on seat 2, always remember this is a solemn occasion. Also to remember Janice Miller.
Absolutely.
Bless you.
You'll do her proud.
Mr. Saracki is joined by his wife, Paula Saracki. And please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Dan Saracki,
I, Dan Saracki,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and the government of the United States and the state of Florida and the city charter of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, and that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state and faithfully perform the duties of council member
as council member
of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, in accordance with the city charter, so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations and welcome to City Council.
The only bad thing is you have to sit next to me now. You're lucky I don't have a gavel.
Well, congratulations and welcome. How's it feel?
It feels great. This big monitor, all these people, it's exciting.
Well, our first agenda on tonight's item is the Citizens Open Forum. It allows you to address the City Council. We only have a couple of rules. You state your name and address clearly for the record. You keep it to no more than 5 minutes. And if it is a public hearing item, please wait till that item comes up on the agenda. Otherwise, you're free to talk about anything, but do keep it to no more than 5 minutes. Anyone on this side of the room like to address the council? Yep, Jerry.
Jerry Antozzi, 509 Shore Drive East. Good evening, council members, Tom Trask, Bruce Haddock. Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you.
As a volunteer curator for the Oldsmar Historical Society Museum, I would like to tell you about our exciting upcoming program. As we all know, history is more than objects, places, and dates. It's people. People make history. Our next meeting at the Oldsmar Historical Society is this coming Saturday, January 10th at 10 o'clock in this building on the second floor. And you'll have a chance to hear our very own city manager, Bruce Haddock, and his program is Past, Present, and Future of Oldsmar. Also, you'll learn that Bruce has been with us 28 years. I don't know about city government, but that sounds like a long time to be in city government and be in the same place. But we're going to learn a little bit more about him and his beautiful family and how he got to be at Oldsmar. For those watching on TV and you want to come, it's the address here is 101 State Street West. And thank you for your support for my husband who just passed away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Our thoughts were with you through the holiday for sure. Anybody else on this side of the room? Wow. Anybody on this side of the room? Anybody in the room? Am I missing anybody? No. Seeing no one, will close the Citizens Open Forum. The next is the Mayor's Minute, and I only have a couple of things. And over the holidays, we did have some tragedies in the Bay Area. Officer Charles Connick was killed officer from Tarpon Springs. I went to the service, and it's one of those things that you never want to do. But in light of that, I want to acknowledge that Governor Rick Scott has proclaimed January 5th through 9th as Florida First Responder Appreciation Week and encourages all Floridians to take time out of their day to show first responders and their families how much we value to their service to our cities, our counties, and our state. They risk their own lives in order to save the lives of others. I would like to thank Oldsmar Fire Rescue, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department, and all the first responders for being vital members of our community. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart and from the city councils. The other item was a tragedy that we had in Oldsmar, and that was the loss of a resident, Marie Suarez Casan. I won't get into details, but you know about it. It made national headlines. I will tell you that I did talk to the sheriff yesterday, and he clearly indicated that it is not an indication of the quality of life for the people that we have in the city of Oldsmar. We went further into the discussion about it, and it clearly indicates that there's a problem with our mechanism that we use to evaluate some of these people, and he and I have agreed to work with the state legislatures to try and figure out what we can do to try and avoid these tragedies from happening. And again, having said that, with the overwhelming feelings that you may have and crisis in your families, we do want to let you know that 211 Tampa Bay Cares can help. We know that there are a lot of families over by Ms. Casan that may be affected by this, and that is available to you. So it was a great holiday, but a tragic one, both the same. So that's all I have for the mayor's minute. We already addressed Bruce speaking, and I do want to let you know that there's a candidates forum. I'll tell you that. That's January 13th, right here at the council chamber members, and that's for the candidates running for seat 1 for Oldsmar City Council. It's free, so come out and enjoy that. It's quite interesting. I plan on being here as well. Next we have on the agenda is our consent docket. We have 6 items: approved minutes of September 16th, 2014 City Council meeting, approve the minutes of October 7th, 2014 City Council meeting, approve payment to legal counsel, approve work order with Jones Edmunds and Associates for the WRF screw press dewatering system. Number 5 is approve work order with Jones Edmunds and Associates for the hydraulic model of Oldsmar's water distribution system. And item 6 is accept the resignation of Dan Saracki from the Leisure Services Board. Does anybody wish to pull anything?
Just number 5 for a minute.
Number 5, go ahead. You have a question?
No, I just wanted to maybe have Bruce elaborate just a second on that. Some of this money may go, we have part of the downtown that still has water lines from the 1950s down in Pine Avenue and Shore Drive east. And possibly some of this money could go towards the study of that or on the new water lines.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, it's updating the hydraulic model for the water distribution system. And one of the capital improvement projects scheduled in the next couple of years is replacement and upgrading of some of the oldest water lines in the city here in the older part of town. And so this is kind of the beginning of that project, as well as an update. I think the last time the model was updated was probably 10 years ago.
So I just thought it was good for those citizens that live in that part of town, knowing that someday that their galvanized lines that's almost closed up now will be replaced, and they might get water again.
Anything else? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you so much. Next is the City of Oldsmar. Presentation of the Oldsmar Business of the Quarter Award, and Councilmember McGee.
Could I have John and his wife Joyce join me up here? Thank you. Let me give this to you. I'll read a little background here. So this Business of the Quarter Award is going to Jameson Labs and John and Joyce, and there's a variety of reasons for why you're receiving this award on behalf of the city and the city council. The incredible story of the Oldsmar business continues with the presentation of the Business of the Quarter Award to Jameson Laboratories and its founder, John Sanders. The business was founded in 1973 when John's former company closed its doors, and this young chemical engineer was asked to complete some existing projects for customers left in the lurch. He did, and that started his customer base. Jameson Labs was incorporated in 1979, literally as a mom and pop business, and moved to Oldsmar in 1980, where they have now been for 35 years. They opened with a modest 4,000 square feet, focusing on the development of quality cleaning chemicals, all on the shoulders of John, Joyce, and 6 employees. John expanded his development of chemical products to a variety of industries to meet growing demand and added another 4,000 square feet in 1984 and began to acquire other businesses. That led to the expansion into the ready-mix concrete business with the acquisition of Power Clean and John's formulation of Ride Off, a unique truck wash and concrete remover that cemented his place as an innovator in the ready-mix industry. Through the years, Jameson continued to grow through new product development and acquisition, expanded their business base from the Florida market to nationwide distributors of quality products, serving a wide variety of industrial and commercial applications. They now occupy over 25,000 square feet and provide over 1,000 specially formulated products. But being a family-owned business, Jameson and the Sanders family believe in giving back to the community. Many of you might have seen this on the news over the holiday season, but this past holiday, they approached Walmart, and they generously offered to pay the outstanding amount on any Christmas layaways that were registered to families with an Oldsmar address. That amounted to over $13,000 of Christmas cheer. Compliments to John and his wife. So we are proud and honored to present our first Business of the Quarter Award of 2015 to another incredible Oldsmar business and family, Jameson Laboratories and John and Joyce Sanders.
Thank you, and I know that you're very busy, so I'll be very brief. I just want to say thank you to the council, and thank you for the people of Oldsmar, and I'd be remiss if I didn't include all the employees of Jameson and Barkley. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, Mayor, they inhabit some of the historical buildings here in town. That goes back to the 1940s. And I always know that you're there because I see your Thunderbird. And I'm always excited to make sure it's there. And you don't remember, but back in the late 70s, I helped you with the city government.
I sure do. How can he forget you? Thank you very much.
Congratulations. And you could have taken a little more time because so far this will be the shortest meeting of the year. Wow. And the longest meeting of the year so far. You just got that, didn't you? Next is consider the reappointments of John Ruckart, Lisa Enman, Kim Peatee Feld to the Leisure Service Advisory Board. I've seen some of them here. Do I want to come up? Come on up. There, I knew I saw John. Yeah, you hide well.
You took time off from the Boy Scouts, right?
That's right. Started there and then came straight here.
Do you get a badge for this or anything? Well, thank you so much for wanting to do this, and we do have a tradition, and we're trying to modify it because we know a lot of you are repeat people on boards, and we don't want to take up your valuable time, but I don't know that we've all met everybody, and Dan's new to the council, so we'd like him to meet everybody. But it's a chance for us to see you. I know we see you at the volunteer dinner, but we just want to thank you. Are there any questions of us that you might have? If not, I wanted to know who was the one that's going to sing tonight. That was quick. They both pointed. You lose. You lose. Yeah.
Boy Scout leader. He leads.
That's right. Can you do something? Tie a knot or anything for us?
Well, first of all, of course, Dan just left us as the chair of the Leisure Services Board, so obviously he knows us well. I did want to congratulate Dan and also say that being in the Army for 24 years, that swear-in, that oath was longer than what I take to be an officer in the military. But congratulations.
Thank you. And you guys are awesome. I loved working with you the last 2 years, and congratulations, and thank you for supporting the City of Oldsmar. You guys are great.
Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for stepping forward, and if there are no other questions, I need a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you once again.
Thank you for serving.
Is Nicole here? That's the next item. Consider the appointment of Nicole McBride as an alternate member of the Planning Board.
Make it tonight.
She could not make it tonight. What do we want to do? Move her on, or do we want to just go ahead and make a motion? It's an alternate member. I think we could go ahead and make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0.
Suggest, Mayor, that maybe if the other side would kind of back off a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Let the
Dan
new
make-
guy?
Let Dan make some.
I'm still nervous.
I was going to do that, but the first one was accepting his resignation, so I didn't think that'd be a good one
Yeah.
to be his first one.
This is how you help to get unnervous.
There you go.
Just jump in and make the motions or make the seconds. I'll guarantee you, they'll do the other one.
Okay.
Is it okay if we move on, Jerry? Just- Next is the city attorney.
I've got a couple items on the agenda tonight. The first one I wanted to discuss with you, a request that I had received from the city attorney, David Ottinger. He represents one of the cities that's involved in some of the issues dealing with the red light cameras. His law firm is actually filing an amicus brief, and frankly, that is the time period is already passed because he asked at such a late date. But on December 15th, I received an email from David. He wanted to know whether or not the city of Oldsmar, along with some of the other cities that our law firm represents, would want to be involved in or joined in this amicus brief that is going to be filed in this Aram case that we have discussed on a number of occasions relative to the red light camera issues. In doing so, of course, that would mean that you would be named, the city would be named a party in the amicus brief. And in addition to that, there would be some type of cost associated with that. Obviously, neither I or Bruce could commit the city to that. We put it on the agenda tonight for your consideration as to whether or not you want to be included in the amicus brief. The amicus brief is basically a brief that is prepared by this law firm that basically sets forth some of the issues and concerns of the cities and basically the legal arguments that that the court should look at in making its final ruling in the appeal that is pending. He did not ask for a specific dollar amount as a contribution. He did not ask for anything other than whether or not the city wanted to be included. The time period in filing the amicus brief expired on December 17th, so the parties are actually set in motion at this point. You can't be added, but we may want to contribute to the attorney's fees in prosecuting that amicus brief. And so I wanted to bring that to you to see whether or not you had any interest in doing that. My suggestion to you is that if you did want to contribute to those attorney's fees to that law firm in protecting the interests of the cities, that it would be in the range of $1,500 to $2,500 contribution. There is no legal requirement that you do that. So,
What are the other municipalities that are actually part of it?
well, he hasn't listed in his email all the cities that were interested in doing it. He specifically asked whether or not Oldsmar and Kenneth City would be interested. He said that he was going to be talking to the city attorney for Gulfport, Andy Salzman, to see if they were interested. And at this point, I don't have any further information as to which cities are interested in doing it. I frankly think because of such late requests that probably none of them did, because they would all need to get permission from their commissions or their councils. He only gave us 2 days' notice.
I have two questions, Mayor. Number one, I want the advice of the city attorney and the city manager, and number two, why would we do it?
I think that we would do it to help our position in allowing us to continue with our red light camera program, make the sheriff feel a little bit more comfortable if the ruling has been overturned, so that the sheriff could move forward in helping us prosecute these cases.
So I take that as you support it.
I would support it But I would say that I would not want to contribute more than $2,500 of the city's money to do that. I think that if there are, 3-4 cities that could put maybe $7,500 or $10,000 in the pot for the brief itself, and that should be well sufficient enough to do that.
Is there any legal exposure to us? I assume the answer is no.
The answer is no.
Bruce?
I agree with the city attorney. I think we should participate.
Then I agree with him. Okay.
Any other questions?
That was my question.
What's your question?
My question, Jerry answered, or asked it, and Tom answered it.
What, do we need a motion?
I would
Or direction?
like there to be a motion as to a dollar amount so that we've got it in the minutes if it comes up again. So
I can't make the motion, but I think $2,500 is probably a reasonable amount. But I can't make the motion.
Right.
If somebody would like to make the
My
motion.
position hasn't changed, so I'm not going to make the motion.
I'll make the motion to contribute $2,500
Need
to.
it.
I second.
Second, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-1, correct?
okay, thank you. So we'll move forward and notify that law firm. The next thing on the agenda is the second and final reading and public hearing of ordinance 2014-19. I'll read that ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2014-19, an ordinance declaring the intention of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, to annex certain real property located in Section 26, Township 28 South, Range 16 East, further described as 736 Shore Drive East. Parcel number is 26, 28, 16, 000-440-0100, into the corporate limits of the City of Oldsmar, and providing for the effective date of this ordinance. That was the second and final reading of ordinance 2014-19 by title only.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item either for or against the item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
No discussion. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Beaverland?
Yes.
Councilmember Saracki?
Yes.
Councilmember McGee?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Yes.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2014-19, annexing the south portion of 736 Shore Drive East, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. These next couple of resolutions are dealing with the ballot language for the wording of the charter amendments that have been approved by you already in ordinance form. These resolutions just basically set forth exactly how it's going to read for each individual resolution on the ballot at the next regular election. So I'll read the resolutions by title only. The first one is Resolution 2015-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar establishing the wording of the substance of a charter amendment in a ballot title for an amendment to Section 3.07C of the City Charter of the City of Oldsmar to appear as a referendum issue on the ballot for the charter revision referendum to be held on March 10th, 2015, and providing for an effective date hereof. That was the reading of Resolution 2015-02.
I do want to make it clear to the people that are either here or watching on TV that these items that we're discussing are items that are going to be on the ballot in March. So it's important that you get out there and vote, as well as council seat number 1 and any other items that may be on from Pinellas County. So these are important items, and I just want to draw that to your attention. This is a resolution, not a public hearing. Is there any discussion on this item? Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next, item number 13 on your agenda, similar resolution. I'll read that by title only. Resolution 2015-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar establishing the wording of the substance of a charter amendment and a ballot title for the amendment to Section 6.04D of the City Charter of the City of Oldsmar to appear as a referendum issue on the ballot for the charter revision referendum to be held on March 10th, 2015, and providing for an effective date hereof. That was the reading of Resolution 2015-03 by title only.
Again, this is a resolution, not a public hearing. Does anybody have any questions or discussion on this particular item? If not, I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, we're on our third resolution, Resolution 2015-04, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar establishing the wording of the substance of a charter amendment and the ballot title for the amendment to section 5.06 of the city charter of the City of Oldsmar to appear as a referendum issue on the ballot for the charter revision referendum to be held on March 10th, 2015, and providing for an effective date hereof. That was reading of Resolution 2015-04 by title only.
This again is not a public hearing. Any discussion on this item from council? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, next is Resolution 2015-05. I'll read that by title only. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, declaring Dan Saracki as council member seat 2, Gabby McGee as council member seat 3, and prescribing the ballot language for the 2015 municipal election for the position of council seat 1 and providing for the effective date hereof. That was the reading of Resolution 2015-05 by title only.
Thank you. Again, this is a resolution, not a public hearing. Any discussion on this item? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I got that one.
Oh,
Second.
Conflict of interest.
Oh, that's right, conflict of interest.
motion? Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
And if you could, I just, again, I indicate that these are items that are going to be on the ballot. Tom, can you give us a Reader's Digest versions for the people that may not be familiar what the city charter is and the importance of going out and voting on that?
Yeah, it's basically the framework or the constitution of the city, and it basically sets forth a lot of different general guidelines for the city, how the city is made up, what form of government it is, what the charter officials are, what their roles are, same with council members, what your role as a mayor is, some issues relative to the elections that take place within the city, and other general guidelines, but it's very, very general, and it's basically controls what you do here in the city. And from that, of course, there's more direction through your code of ordinances and your land development code, but hopefully that's sufficient enough explanation.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Just a little history. One of his ex-colleagues helped draft this, John Hubbard helped draft this. Up until 1983, the city of Oldsmar had a council form of government, not a strong mayor form of government, but a council form of government. There was no strong anybody. Everybody just got up here and argued downstairs. In 1983, they decided, they put it to the ballot in the city of Oldsmar, whether to go to a city manager form of government that we have today. And being the intelligent citizens we have in the town, they voted to go to a council manager of government. And this all started in 1983, and this is why we're doing this. And this is just adding to it.
Thank you. That's all that. Next is the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is consider approval of renewing the use agreement with Oldsmar Little League for 2015. The proposed agreement is similar to ones in the past and to the agreements that we have with other youth sports groups such as soccer and football. There have been some changes to the proposed agreement requested by the Little League, and those are related to the split on cost of electricity for the concession stand and also the dates. This proposed use agreement covers both the spring season and the fall season for Oldsmar Little League. And it will begin January 20th of this year, the spring season ending May 28th, and the fall season would begin September 7th and end November 21, 2015. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. I recommend approval of the use agreement with Oldsmar Little League Incorporated for 2015.
Any questions? Is the Oldsmar Little League, for the most part, in agreement with the?
Well, I'm sure that I think Mr. Waldman, the president, is here
I saw him
today.
somewhere. I don't know. Oh, you want to address this if you would, if you'd like to, feel free to.
I'd like to.
Go ahead.
Oldsmar Little League has not approved the use agreement as it reads right now.
Can you tell us what items are outstanding in your opinion?
Yes, absolutely. Before I go into the use agreement, may I, there was something else I did want to discuss with council about Oldsmar Little League. before the use agreement. Is this a good time to do that? Or, because I had included that in the information I sent to Mr. Haddock as well.
Is it related to the use agreement or no?
About naming the field?
Yes.
I think probably that should go to the Leisure Services Advisory Board first.
Well, when I spoke with Mr. Beverland about it, he advised me to go ahead and place on the agenda for City Council and address City Council with it.
I would tend to agree with the city manager that really needs to go before them first and get their input on it. We can always at some time overrule them if in fact we decide that. I don't really know exactly what you're talking about, but typically the protocol is to go to the Leisure Services Board first with those items.
Wait a minute, Mayor. I didn't advise you to bring it before the city council at this time at the contract agreement. I never said that.
No, I know, but this was the first meeting.
We'll make it very plain. I told you to do that, to ask to put it on the city council agenda to discuss just that and not incorporate it with the agreement.
I wasn't anticipating the issues with the use agreement that we have.
Yeah, and to that point, even if you brought it to us as an agenda item, probably what would happen is the same thing that just happened now, is that the city manager would recommend that it go before the board first and then come to us. So we've kind of just leapfrogged over that, and that would probably be the direction. I can't give you that for certain. I'm only one, but that would be the direction that it would be, and it can certainly go on their agenda, correct? Sure.
Even at that, Mayor, we had talked about this years ago about what he's talking about, and the council would probably agree with that. I didn't tell you that. I didn't say go to the board.
Then I misunderstood what you had said.
Okay.
And that would be on me.
Just protocol, that's why we have the board, so that they can.
Okay.
Yep.
That's fair enough, and I'll go ahead and address that because we do want to get that done before opening day, which is scheduled for February 21st.
When's the next Leisure Services meeting?
Monday next week.
So maybe if they had the meeting next week, discussed it, it would come maybe on the 20th.
Is that doable to get it on the agenda or no?
I don't know if it's done or not already. Probably it is.
We've put the agenda out, but I imagine it can get added.
Okay.
It's
I think
Because everybody will agree to it. I can tell you that.
it's just, it's the procedure we do with everything.
I understand,
I don't want to circumvent their, authority and purpose.
Okay, fair. That's fair enough. In regards to some of the issues that we have with the use agreement, I'd like to have somebody join me up here.
Sure.
Eric.
I would say in general, are you in agreement with? Because it hasn't really changed a lot from years past.
Oh, and we've had some issues in years past which have not been addressed, which we have tried addressing, have not been fixed, and we would like these issues fixed up. Okay. Essentially.
If you could keep it brief and just let us know what those are, because I believe we've all had discussions with the city manager about what some of those items might be. But go ahead. Okay.
Well, and I know Mr. Beadle and I copied you on some emails as well with the additions and amendments that I sent to Mr. Reeves for the use agreement. Eric Pearson is the district administrator for Little League International, Florida District 12. He has met with Lynn Reeves in the past, last year, about 13 months ago, when everything blew up with Oldsmar Little League. The reason I asked him to join us is because the big issue that we have is Oldsmar Little League is basically pushed aside when it comes to scheduling at Canal Park. Oldsmar Little League is scheduled around renters' schedules. Renters' schedules are not scheduled around Oldsmar Little League. We are told each season, whether it's spring season or fall season, that there's at least 2 or 3 weekends that we cannot have games at Canal Park. No other organization or sports organization, Oldsmar Soccer, Oldsmar Football, is not told anything like that they cannot have games at Canal Park during the course of a season. Mayor Beavis, Mr. Beebland, you were out there at Canal Park when the travel ball teams came in that one Saturday morning. I know, Mr. Beavis, you witnessed firsthand some of the things that were going on in the cage with Abel Fonte, who one of our board members, and I know, Mr. Beebland, you saw quite a bit as well. What we're looking for is we want to have games scheduled on Saturdays. We need fields until 3 p.m. Lynn Reeves has said unequivocally, no, that cannot be done. We can only have them until 2. I have also asked that we have fields reserved, either Field 3 or Field 4 at Canal Park on Saturday afternoons for an intermediate division. What I was told again is if the fields are available, we can reserve them. We begin with Oldsmar. Oldsmar is us. We are Oldsmar. Why do we have to be scheduled around renters? Mr. Pearson, he can explain the importance of us having those fields for our intermediate division. I can pass it over to you for a second.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Eric Pearson. Like I said, I'm the district administrator. I'm basically the liaison between Little League International and District 12, which Oldsmar is a member. As you all know, Little League is the largest international youth sports organization, and it's strictly run by volunteers. In fact, I'm a volunteer. None of us are paid to do what we do out there. I can tell you that I was here when I first took this position with the transition with Oldsmar Little League and the transition they went through, and your current leadership you have there is doing very well to rebuild the Little League brand name. One thing I want to say is that the way it's right now, the league is unable to participate in a portion of the district's activities and host an intermediate division, which is aged 11 to 13-year-old, because they don't have the field space and field time when these games are played. So that current way it reads right now, they're limited to, they can't participate in that program. The only way they can participate is travel to other parks. And the last thing I'll say is all the kids that play at Oldsmar, they're residents. Their parents are residents of, they live in their area.
Not all of them.
Or a majority of them are, but the situation is what we have to run into is if they want to play in this, they're having to travel. And I get phone calls as a representative saying, why can't we play at home? And I don't have that answer, so that's what I want to share.
When you say travel, what 2 miles, 10 miles, 200 miles?
The district goes from Clearwater all the way up to Port Richey.
Okay.
Well, how many days are we talking about?
We're talking Saturdays.
How many Saturdays?
For the length of the season, which begins, our opening day is February 21st. The intermediate tournament, top team tournament, I believe goes through May 28th.
May 28th finishes.
I have some questions about that. Don't you already have their fields reserved on Saturdays?
According to the use agreement, until 2 p.m. We've asked to have them until 3 p.m. with the added having either Field 3 or Field 4 reserved as well until we get the schedule from district, which should be mid-February. At that point, then we'll know what home games we have, what away games our intermediate team would have.
Is this something that's new? Because I know we haven't had this situation before, correct, have we?
We had Oldsmar Little League fielded an intermediate team in 2014, 2012, right? 2 years ago. So it would have been 2013 that we did have an intermediate team, which again played. I believe that was the first season that it was the first trial of the new division.
So you don't necessarily need it for every Saturday, but at this point you don't know which Saturdays, and you'll know that sometime in February?
Yes.
Is that something that, I mean, I don't know that we need to change the use agreement for that, but is that something that we might be able to accommodate once we know the schedule? I don't know what the conflict might be with other people. And let me first preface this by saying two things. One, that we are firm supporters of Oldsmar Little League and Little League in general. You know that. I was out there, and I believe Councilmember Bevelin was out there, and we're going to have those conflicts that we had out there, even though, you know, you guys may end at 2 o'clock and they may not start till 4. You have parents that are very involved in their kids and they want to come out and practice and things like that. And they can't, as you can't control all of your parents, they can't control all of those. And we are going to have those isolated cases. I think it was addressed. They weren't necessarily happy, but I think it was kind of addressed at that point. But
the big issue that we have, and which I explained, I know I explained to you, I missed you out there that day. I was out. I believe my other son was doing something. Big issue we have is that the renters actually schedule games to begin on fields that we have used for, and that was what happened that Saturday. The renter had games scheduled on fields 1 and 2 at 12 p.m. We still had games and practices going on. So there was some kind of miscommunication, or whether it's miscommunication, whether I don't know what it is, between Mr. Reeves' office and the renters.
okay.
Because if he's putting out on his website that that he's got games scheduled at noon, and we're supposed to be able to be there until 2 p.m., there's a problem there.
And I would agree with that. Was that just an isolated case that we know of, Bruce? Or?
This happens more than just once.
Okay. Move on. We'll see if we can address that. What's the next item?
Okay. Additionally, just to give you an idea of where Oldsmar Little League is coming from in terms of our finances. We pay for our light use, our electrical use. Okay, it's now on a per hour basis for the fields. The issue that we had, and I know it has been addressed, that we are now going to pay 65% of the concession stand building electrical fees. And I do appreciate Mr. Reeves putting that into the use agreement as well. So I do want to thank him for that. The one thing that has, I want council to understand that before we even do anything, before Oldsmar Little League does anything, we have charter fees that we need to pay to Little League International, which approximately $2,000 per year. We also have district fees, which we pay to District 12. Last year was $3,200. So before we start doing anything in terms of buying equipment, paying for lights, paying for uniforms, we are at least $5,200 behind in just with our finances on an annual basis. Where we have the renters that can go ahead, they charge $700 for their kids to play plus. Please understand, Oldsmar Little League, according to our charter, if a child cannot pay, if a family cannot pay, we have to take them. We cannot turn away anybody for financial reasons, including rec cards. So if there's a child in Eastlake Woodlands who is districted for Oldsmar Little League and his parents can't pay for a rec card for $130 per year, we are out that $130 because the city has said that we need to collect that instead of the city collecting it. We need to collect that from people. We received a bill from the city now for more than $1,000 for rec cards, which we're actually looking over right now because things just don't seem right with that.
Okay.
And I know one thing that has been brought to that has been brought up to us is, when did we become bill collectors for the city?
Well, what does
Okay.
what does that have to do with the?
Yeah, if we could, I don't want to turn this into a discussion of things that you don't like about how things are operated, as more about the charter, and because I probably would think that the Little League in general in Pinellas County probably operates the same way, in that they have fees that they have to collect and pay to whoever. So that's not unique to us. It's not something that we're doing that's not.
I want you to understand, because from what I've seen, I don't know if council understands everything that goes into Little League.
Yeah, and I think we do, not to all the details, but I mean, it's not unique to Oldsmar Little League. It applies to all. It's not something that's unique to you, certainly.
This is something that's been going on since the rec card situation for the last almost 20 years.
Okay,
I mean, this is nothing new for that. I mean, the Little League, when I was greatly involved in it in the 90s and in the early 2000s, the rec card was always being.
Okay, and that's something we can do. That has really nothing to do with the use agreement. If you could speak to the items of the use agreement only.
The one thing we want in the use agreement is we want to have Oldsmar Little League, because of those finances, we needed the chance to be able to make up money. The only way we make money is through registrations and sponsorships and our concession stand. We have asked for this use agreement to include Oldsmar Little League to have the right of first refusal to run concessions, because we have the health certification from Pinellas County. We are legally allowed to run the concessions. We pay sales tax on our concessions. We want the right of first refusal to run concessions for events taking place at Canal Park. The renters that come in, they plug into our electricity. They leave grease all over the ground in front of our concession stand. They have a barbecue grill that's set up we need to have our grill 10 feet away from the soffit of the concession stand, which is in the use agreement. We've gone there and I've seen right under the soffit.
Well, wait a minute. What are you asking for? You want the concession stand?
We want to have.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, Jerry.
You want to operate the concession stands when the Little League is not there?
Yes.
First right of refusal, I think, is what he's asking.
The right of first refusal. We get the schedule.
The price of refusal does not state what they're asking for.
Well,
What they're
that
asking
the
for-
renters would not be
What they're
allowed to
asking
use
for
it.
is when the Little League's not there, that they have the right, so everybody can understand what they're talking about,
Right.
that they can have the right to run the concession stand there. I mean, the first
And the con-
right of refusal, I mean, who understands that?
Well, but the concession stand, just to be clear, the concession stand is only in use for Oldsmar Little League. No other renters or travel ball or anybody else uses the actual concession stand.
is
They may
correct.
plug into it, which I'll grant you that, but they
Right.
don't use it, so.
They set up their own thing. There's no visible health certification. What we're asking for is we have the right of first refusal. Within 10 days of something going on at Canal Park, we say whether or not we're going to operate our concession stand for that event.
For what event? Any event that's there?
Any event on the baseball, softball side. I'm not talking about the other side with soccer and
I know, we
football.
never have.
Basically, if I could just cut through it all, you basically would like to operate the concession stand while Triple USA Baseball is running their events.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And the purpose is so that you could make the profit because of all these fees that you do have to.
Absolutely.
And you know that you're going to do it in a more proper manner that's going to adhere to the use agreement?
Right. We know we have the Pinellas County Health Board comes in. They give us our certificate that we can legally operate that.
Okay. Any other item? And I'll address that too, or somebody else can. I have an opinion on that as well, and a thought. Strictly to the use agreement.
1 second.
So as I'm hearing it right now, the only thing I hear is the extension to 3 p.m. and the first right of refusal on the concession.
In the Saturdays.
Right. I mean, Saturdays till 3, yeah.
That's the only thing I've ever heard.
Saturdays till 3 and the first right of refusal, and then we'll discuss it.
Say that again? Yeah, the date that right now is on the use agreement, that's what we need in there. We like, in the use agreement showing that the use agreement goes through May 28th.
Correct.
All-Stars, which is the different age groups that move on after that season. All-Stars take place in the month of June. Oldsmar will be fielding all-star teams. There is nothing in the use agreement that allows us or gives us field space. When I mentioned this to somebody in Lynn's office, I was told that the league, that the city has always made accommodations for us to have that, which is not true. 2 years ago, there were no accommodations made, and our all-star teams had to practice at Safety Harbor. We want to make sure that the 3 teams that we're going to have, at least 3 teams, will have practice space in June for the All-Star tournament.
Do you have a date? Do you have days?
Yes. 1 second.
Bruce, do we need Lynn up here?
Well, I think you'll probably want to hear from him.
Yeah, let me get through this first, and then we'll.
It goes through June 29th? The All-Stars goes through June 29th.
Okay. Any other items? So those are the 3 items that I hear so far.
Have I missed any? We've got opening and closing ceremonies is taken care of in here.
Okay. Any other items? Besides that, I'd like to ask our.
Anybody have anything else?
Okay. Thank you. Lynn, can you come and address a couple of these items, please? Thank you. And how we've handled them in the past and what's different now than the contracts that we've had over the years. The Saturday one first, probably the extension till 3.
Yeah, Lynn Reeves, Leisure Services Director. We have started to base our field usage on the amount of actual teams that Little League has. Based on their registration and the schedule that they provide us, which they provide us a schedule 2 weeks prior, sometimes 30 days. It varies. They have an average, in the spring they had 15, 16 teams. In the fall they had 12, 13 teams. And if you relate that to the amount of fields, the field space is spread out. And what they basically have done over the last couple years is block field space where in the past, when they had teams, some nights a team would practice on, we'll say field 1 at 6 o'clock, and a second team would practice on field 1 at 7:30. That's not how they operate at this point any longer. And it's
Dave, if I
mainly-
could ask you to sit down so it's not a distraction to the council, thanks.
And it's, so what we've done is determined that, okay, they have X amount of players, X amount of teams, and they provide us a roster, and that roster tells us how many kids they have in the different divisions. And so that's how we determine what the field space usage is. And we have outsiders that come in and ask to rent the facility. And they provide us dates that they want. If there's a conflict, if Little League has already reserved it, we tell them no, they can't do that. If it's in the reverse and Little League hasn't reserved it, yes, we reserve it for them. It's basically a first come, first serve.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
The All-Star season, I think the All-Stars are important to any league. I don't care whether you're a skateboard league. I mean, the All-Stars is pretty important because that's the culmination of everything and those kids that finally made it up to that team. Can't we accommodate them at least for the All-Star season?
That's item 3. That's number 3 or 4.
Yeah, for the most part, maybe there has been some conflicts. For the most part, there are practices and stuff for the All-Stars. The All-Stars typically aren't played at Canal Park. They're played wherever they are in the district, which maybe the district.
But we should have them play at Canal Park.
Well, I've been told by the Little League that they can't have any tournaments at Canal Park because we don't have enough fields. And that was told to me by the president. So I don't know that to be a fact because I've talked to Little League International and they tell me something else. So, but the situation is we block fields as an example. Some of the renters have come in and give us a request back in November and December for the spring season. Those fields have been put into the rec track system and block those fields. We notify the Little League once we get the use agreement and say, okay, these are the dates that there's a conflict. And we try our best to make sure that there is no infringement. But when, as an example, if the Little League gives us a schedule for on a Saturday and says, we're going to be using the fields from 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock, which many Saturdays they're done by 12 o'clock. We, at that point, release the fields at 1 o'clock. Their use agreement says they can stay there till 2, but in most cases, the schedules that they've submitted to us aren't till that time. Occasionally, there's a game till 1, and we tell the renters, no, you can't. And I know the renters or the players, the kids are going to come wherever you're at. They're going to come to the park early. They're going to walk around, and if they aren't interfering with games,
sure.
They have that right to do that.
I have a question, Mayor.
Hey, whoa. I ran them off of one field down there because they were out there playing on it from the other team. But anyway, to get back to the All-Star, the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, can't we work somehow for the All-Star season?
We work with, if they give us a schedule, we work that out. Now, I will tell you in early June next year, we have a Cecil Fielder World Series as an example that was booked last year. So that's an event that's coming into town from somewhere else. And off the top of my head, I don't specifically know those.
Does that conflict with the All-Star season?
It depends what their All-Star time is. We don't know that. They haven't told us.
Well, isn't the All-Stars usually the same time every year?
Well, they kind of move around. Hold on. Sometimes they go into July.
Hold on. No comments from the crowd, please.
Really? I just think the All-Stars, I mean.
And we will accommodate them. They're talking about practicing on maybe, if there's 3 teams as an example. Is that right, Mr. Waldman?
There'll be at least 3 teams.
Okay, so that's 3 fields that they have to use 2-3 times a week.
Well, what kind of a problem would that be to put that in the contract?
Well, if he has specific dates, that I don't think that's that big a problem.
That should answer that question. That can be put in the contract.
But I don't know that we know those dates. Is that correct?
I'm looking at him.
Specific dates that you would need them.
Specific dates.
Because we don't want to tie up a field for the whole month if you only need it.
I understand that, but
You need to give him, find out from somebody, you need to give him specific dates, and I will agree to put that in the contract.
June 15th.
Look.
Please don't do it from the crowd, please. Thank you.
That's it.
May I?
Yeah, well, can we just address, let's let him finish address, first right of refusal on the concession stand. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a question, because if we're going to do it in order, we're still on the up to 2 o'clock, the
Yep,
2 o'clock and the
to
3
3.
o'clock. Okay. Is it my understanding that the conflict has occurred due to them, Little League telling you there's going to be 12 to 13 teams, but then there ends up being more teams, and is that why?
No.
You said something about the number of teams. That's all said ahead of time.
They give us a roster. As an example, I think the fall roster off the top of my head was 142 kids. And if you just translate that into 9 or we'll say 10 kids a team, the most it could be is 14.
Okay.
And some of those teams don't, based on the roster, don't have a full 14 kids.
Okay, so on point 1, changing it from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, what's the conflict? Because the renters have already...
Let her ask her question.
I think I can help you out there. The problem is, which they both have alluded to a few minutes ago, the Little League has the fields to 2 o'clock. Lynn just said, if they aren't
using them,
if one field is not being used, the leisure board lets another team come in at 1 o'clock and play on the field. That's the problem. The problem can be solved this, and I don't know how this is going to work with y'all, so I'm just telling you how you solve it. If the Little League has the fields to 2 o'clock, they have the fields to 2 o'clock, and nobody else comes in. That would solve the whole problem.
But they're asking it till 3, and I want clarification on why there's a problem. It's an hour. So is it because they're rented to the rented teams already booked in advance?
Yes.
Is that why?
Yes.
Okay. And so Little League, you guys need 1 more hour. You couldn't come an hour early, or
We're anticipating growth this season.
you're anticipating. So it does have to do with the number of teams.
Right. And
Can you step up to the podium so we can get you on mic?
We are anticipating more teams during the spring, which I have said before. What I was told when I mentioned this to somebody in Lynn's office was he doesn't see that by the sales of the rec cards, which totally blew my mind, that because rec cards are for soccer, rec cards are for football, rec cards are for a lot of
Why
other
are we
things.
back to the rec card?
I'm not sure.
No, but I'm saying this.
You're anticipating it, but we don't have it, and
This is what what I was told by somebody in Lynn's office when I was discussing this with her was that Lynn said no to increasing the time because based on the sales of rec cards, there is not going to be growth in Oldsmar Little League.
Okay.
But you said yourself you're anticipating it. So how is Leisure Services supposed to schedule things based on anticipation and not facts?
We're still within our
Right.
registering right now. So obviously we're not going to have, since we're opening on February 21st.
Okay, so your registration is happening at the same time we're renting.
Right.
I just want clarification.
And can you answer this, either one of you, I don't care. They go till 2 now, they have the fields till 2. Typically, on a typical day, when are you done playing? Lynn has said 12.
There's been time, we've had games scheduled to start at 12:30, which with an hour and with a 1.5 hour time limit on it, that takes.
I understand that. That's an anomaly. I'm saying typically, what time are you guys done?
Anytime between noon and 2.
Okay, which is your window, and as he had indicated. Okay, would you agree with that?
No, not entirely.
Okay.
Mainly because of the schedule that they submit to us. For the most part, almost every Saturday it's 12. Sometimes it's 12:30, but those are accommodated when they need to be done. As an example, this is the fall schedule. They had 1 game in September that was till 2 o'clock, scheduled on a Saturday. The other Saturday, everything was done by 12:30. October, they had 1 game scheduled on a Saturday till 2 o'clock, 2 games. Every other game was done by 1 o'clock.
Couldn't we leave it at?
Basing on the fall schedule is not a true representation of the spring season, because the fall season is a smaller season. It's a shorter season. We generally get 20 to 30% less registration for the fall season.
Okay. but we haven't proven that yet. I mean, there's
Well,
no.
you did say there were less teams in the fall.
Yeah, there are less well, I get that, but all indications are that in the past that you're typically done for sure by 2 o'clock.
Yes.
With the exception that you may have an overrun, whether it's weather or something that, that may affect that. I understand that. That's fine.
And if you look at the spring season, their previous spring season, and this is the schedule they provided to us that came from Little League.
And again, keep in mind that last spring season was the first season that we were trying to recover from everything that happened last year.
Yep.
So our registrations were down last spring.
And I think that's, I'm just speaking for myself, but I think that's something that if use indicates that it needs to be extended, it would need to be extended. But I don't want to necessarily do something on a speculation because there are these are public fields. They're not Oldsmar Little Leagues. They're not USSSAs. They're not.
I'm not trying to say that we need to remove renters from that. That's not at all what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
What I'm asking for is fairness. Mr. Reeves is saying that he's basing our field use based on the number of participants that we have. However, when renters rent the fields, and there's no, I don't know what the protocol is, but from what I understand, there's no deposit placed. There's no. I don't
want to get into that tonight.
Well, no.
I understand.
There's no contract, and when we ask for a field, we're told no, we can't have the field because something's rented. You know what happened on Friday night, November the 14th, when we specifically asked for that night because district had requested us to host a juniors game on Friday night, November the 14th.
We're getting way off track.
Well, no,
I clearly know where you're going with this, and I'm not prepared to discuss that tonight.
I understand, but I'd like it on the record because we were told that the fields were rented. I even went to Mr. Reeves and I told him that it's not on the renter's schedule for that night. He said the fields are rented and the fields were dark. We lost a chance. We lost a chance to make money with our concessions. Okay. We lost a chance for our kids to play a home game.
And I completely understand that, but in fact, were the fields rented? Yes or no?
They were scheduled to be rented.
Okay.
They were canceled that week. That Friday was. The Saturday and Sunday wasn't. And to the same token, I don't want to get into he said, they said, but the Little League schedules fields and don't use them too. So it's kind of.
That's something, that's a subject for a different matter, and I'm certainly prepared, as everybody else is on council, to resolve this, because it's no secret that there's no love lost between Oldsmar Little League and USSSA.
Right, and know that we as a council and the citizens of Oldsmar want Oldsmar Little League to succeed. But and this is a growing period for you and a reorganization period for you. So there's going to be growing pains and there's going to be mistakes. But if we can come to a compromise.
It's not growing pains anymore because this thing's 30
well,
years
it just
old.
now started getting back on its feet last year.
The problem here, and I think the whole problem boils down to one thing, is that the Little League contract says they can have it to 2 o'clock, and sometimes the other ball people come in there at 1 o'clock, and that's the conflict. I mean, you can go far beyond that if you want, but that's the conflict.
Absolutely.
That's the conflict. That can be solved real simple. The Little League contracts has it to 2 o'clock. Then let them have it to 2 o'clock. And then after 2 o'clock, the Little League leaves and the other team comes in. And you won't have that conflict. You won't have people come there at 1:30 and get on another field, and this whole conflict would end.
Well, and it doesn't mean that it would completely end, because we were out there the day that you can't keep people from coming out there early.
Right.
They would then have the right to say, these are our fields till 2 o'clock.
Right.
If you want to hang out and eat our hot dogs and pay us money, then do that.
Could we post signs to let them know that they need to behave?
If the Little League contract says to 2 o'clock, then stay off the fields until 2 o'clock, and that'll end this whole conflict on this particular matter.
That's fine. Okay. We didn't address first right of refusal on the concession. I don't think that's something we've ever done in the past. I don't know that we're prepared to discuss that tonight as part of the use agreement. If we want to discuss that for another day, I think we can do that, but I don't think that's something that's been done before.
I don't think that is. I think that the renter or whoever it is has the opportunity to, it's their event. We don't do that that would be like saying, okay.
That the football field could run it for the soccer team.
Right.
And then we don't do that.
No.
Okay.
That would be like saying, okay, we're going to tell the Chamber of Commerce, you're not going to sell food, we're going to sell it.
Yeah.
At Oldsmar Days. It's the same concept. It's their event. It's not Oldsmar Little League's event.
And again, for the record, that when these other people come in and rent them, they don't use the concession stand. They do it outside of it. And
Right. I mean, I know that the Little League sells some stuff to them, the early people, but I don't know.
well, that's
how
fine.
much.
That's good for them.
Is a possible alternative to helping them raise more money is the city possibly being able to chip in for the kids that can't afford the rec cards?
That'd be probably a
Whole other
conversation
thing.
for another day.
Well, the whole reason they want to do the concession is.
Yeah, if you start, that could open a huge can of worms for.
But what kind of concessions are these other teams providing? Because wouldn't it be a benefit to all people that are attending that there's a full concession available?
I mean, I think it's similar, hot dogs and hamburgers and chips and
But they're
soda.
just using a grill, they're just not using a
Right.
concession stand, and they're selling them, okay.
And I think you guys use a grill, is that not correct as well?
Yeah.
I mean, so I think it's very.
We do pull a grill out, but then again, all the food that we have, we know is kept, any kind of meats that we have, we know is kept
Sure.
up to code. We don't know that with the renters coming in.
I understand that. Yeah, that's not really an issue as part of the use agreement. We get that. And you know, it's no different than people that use our pavilions and cook food for their church. We don't know what.
But they're not selling it.
Okay, but that's not an issue tonight. So the other item is, so first right of refusal, the next is really, we kind of counted it as 4, but it's May 28th, but really the accommodation. And we think that if they give you the schedule, it would probably be outside of the use agreement, but we could accommodate the rental of the fields for their all-star teams. Is that how we would handle that?
That's how we've always
know that
handled it.
there are some June dates already booked.
All right.
But it's not 30 days. So when Little League has their schedule of what they would like to have practices in June, we will make every effort to accommodate that.
But those uses would be outside of the use agreement and not bound by the same.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that would be a rental, so to speak.
As soon as we know what the dates are, we can,
I need the date, I need the fields from June 1st, I need 3 fields every day between June 1st and June 13th.
I'm not
Well,
prepared.
those dates, it's early June that is already blocked.
Because according to the schedule that I got from district today about All-Stars, our All-Star tournaments begin on June 7th, June 12th.
Okay.
Goes through June 19th. So.
But the
even-
fields have already been booked. I mean, and we're.
I understand that, but then again, I'm told that the city always makes accommodations for us and.
You can, but
If they're available,
If
yes.
they're available, but if they're already rented, unless we can, I think we need to do is monitor this season and see what dates they really are. And if we need to make some modification next year to accommodate that, if you can give us some hard, fast dates where we haven't already booked it. I mean, I completely understand about the All-Stars. We certainly want to have them and have them practice here. Let me ask you this, can you or the district get us an answer on why they can't play the tournaments here?
No,
No.
the All-Star.
I don't need it right now, but.
The All-Star tournament is not, it's, when we have the president's meeting and Eric asks who can host All-Star games, that's not the tournament itself. The tournament that we have is like a spooktacular tournament when over the course of a weekend, we have so many teams coming to play games. We cannot host a baseball tournament because we need 3 fields, with 3 grass fields to host a baseball tournament, which would be over the course of that weekend. We can host a couple of All-Star games in that during that period, but that is different from a tournament like the Spooktacular tournament that we hold in October.
Is that your understanding? Lynn?
Well, that's not my understanding, but.
Okay, if we can work that out, we'd love to have that. We just had the Intergalactic World Series here, so if we can do intergalactic, we can certainly do Little League. So I mean, if we can accommodate it.
The only other issue that is in this, the use agreement says that we can notify the Little League, and that's what we've done in past. When we have things that have already been scheduled, and they are scheduled on Saturdays, and it's one time a month.
Okay.
And that is basically one weekend each month during their season. And we've always given those dates to them ahead of time so they are aware of that. Are you telling us we're supposed to call the person that scheduled those and tell them they can't use the fields anymore? Because these are tournaments.
The bottom line here is you've got 2 different organizations scheduling dates. They don't talk because they're 2 different organizations, and it would probably be a really good idea for you to go ahead and book them for next year for the All-Stars so that we know we won't have this problem next year, because y'all will have them booked for the first 2 weeks of June for your All-Star tournaments, and this won't happen again. But this is going to be the most difficult year because you guys are gearing up and they have to be able to continue to rent them when they can, when y'all don't need them, but we don't know that y'all need them until after they've already rented them. So,
Well, if the All-Star games are the same time every year, then
yeah,
I would.
No.
book it next year, book it.
But are they the first 2 weeks of June every year?
I think last year they
Please
were-
stop from the crowd, please.
It does change. Last year, in 2014.
It's a protocol. I'm sorry, sir, but that's how we handle it.
In 2014, the All-Star Games began, I believe it was June 20th.
Yeah, so they changed.
It varies,
So,
but
and,
it's
and, this,
sometime in
and this
June.
year, we're looking at All-Star starting, again, All-Star tournaments are starting as early as June 7th. There's some divisions starting June 7th, some divisions starting June 12th, some divisions starting June 19th.
Okay. And I understand all that, but this is stuff that's coming in. We're trying to talk a use agreement for your general use of the fields, not necessarily these anomalies, because they, obviously, you don't even find out till later in the year. Have we been able to, for the most part, accommodate their All-Stars in years past?
Yes, for the most part.
For the most part. Is that correct?
Except for that, I remember.
For the most part.
I'm just saying, in my memory, since I've been a part of Oldsmar Little League, I remember one year where we were told no, and we had to scramble, and luckily Safety Harbor opened up for us.
I mean, and we're going to have that, and so, but in general, we've been able to do that. So I think we probably have a resolution. Is there any more questions for either of these parties, or Lynn, do you have anything else?
Well, we need to clarify the fact that I have events scheduled in
June.
January.
Oh,
It's one weekend a month from now until this spring season would end in May. So it's
and that conflicts with their Saturday schedule?
Yes.
Well, they would like to have it every Saturday, I guess, as opposed to 3 Saturdays out of 4.
Yeah, we would. Because, and the reason we would is because Oldsmar Little League is made up mainly, 85 to 90% of us are Oldsmar residents. That park belongs to Oldsmar residents.
I understand.
It doesn't belong to Oldsmar Little League. It doesn't belong to Lynn Reeves. It doesn't belong to USSSA. It belongs to the residents of Oldsmar. And what we're asking for is that the residents of Oldsmar be put first when it comes to using the fields, instead of going to outside organizations that are not a part of it.
Sorry, whoa. Okay, I'm lost. What are we talking about now? I mean, this is going.
Well, and I wouldn't disagree with you, but it's also a public facility paid for by the taxpayers.
Oldsmar.
Is that entirely true?
Business.
It's subsidized by the taxpayers of Oldsmar.
It's subsidized by the taxpayers of Oldsmar.
I'm going to tell you all something. I sat right across the street and made the motion to build Canal Park. I made the motion to build Canal Park in 1992 or 1993. And after I made that motion, I also made a statement that I don't care who plays at Canal Park. That park is for kids, not for grown-ups, not for mom and dads. It's for the kids, and I don't care where they come from.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that kind of noise. Now, I'm going to ask one more question. I want to know what to talk about. You want 4 weekends a month on what?
No.
Can you clarify that?
I got lost.
And that conflicts with the current use agreement that we're about to approve or not approve?
Well,
the way it's currently drafted, we have the option to notify Little League that, I mean, they already know it now. I don't think they know which particular weekend it is, but they realize, or they're aware of the fact that it would be available 3 out of 4 weekends during this season.
What's available? I'm lost.
The field.
The baseball fields.
Okay, the baseball fields for what?
One weekend a month, they're rented to someone else.
Thank you.
Weekend day, or just a day, or the weekend?
The whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So there's 1 week a month that the fields are all rented to somebody else?
Yes.
And not the Little League?
Right.
Why?
Not 1 week, 1 weekend.
That's right, 1 weekend. How
Why?
did that happen?
Well,
during the Little League season.
Tournaments.
For tournaments.
Little League,
and-
it's just travel ball.
Yeah, it's tournaments and people that come.
Different league, Jerry.
Different league. It's not the Little League. We have that in all of our agreements.
Okay.
As an example, Relay for Life comes, we tell soccer they can't play.
Hey, I'm ignorant on that. I didn't know that. I
Right.
apologize. No, I'm not going to apologize for that. I just didn't know that.
But could,
So 1 week a month, 1 weekend a month, the Little League doesn't play out there at all.
Right. They only, they don't use it on Friday and Sunday, they use it only on Saturday. But 1 weekend a month,
Is that a hurdle that Little League is not able to hurdle?
It's.
I'm not saying what you would prefer, but is it?
It is a Saturday during, when we can have games there, that we are losing money because we're not opening concessions.
This is all based on the concession stand and not the games?
This is about Oldsmar Little League trying to keep their finances going because
Wait a minute, no, answer my question.
Yeah.
This is all about the concession stand and not the Little League, the
No,
kids
it is-
playing the games?
No, it's about the Little League playing the games. It's also about the concession so we can buy the materials, buy the things for the kids, buy the helmets, the catcher's gear, the
Okay,
gloves,
yeah.
the baseballs. That's where we get our money
We
from.
understand that. And that's, it's the cost of doing business. I hate to,
like you said, on that weekend though, the fields don't get used on Fridays and Sundays?
Little League doesn't have use of the fields on Friday and Sunday. It's only Saturday that's the conflict. And if it's a tournament, it's not Friday and then skip a day, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well, let me ask you a question. And I apologize on this one, because I'm out of the loop on this one. I mean, hey, I was president of the Little League for 2 years. I managed the team for 4 years, and I fought for Canal Park. When the other council members didn't, one of the council members almost
I have to reel you in now.
fell off their seat when I made that motion. When did all this happen that the Little League doesn't play every Saturday during Little League season? When did
Probably
this happen?
about, I'll say probably 3 years ago they
Why
started.
did it happen?
Well, we went to Little League initially, the people of power at the
This is
time.
all going back to when everything fell apart with that other group on the Little League. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you could answer his questions, how this kind of came, because this didn't just happen now.
No, it's been 3 or 4 years, probably
And-
4.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
If we have the 1 weekend with tournaments, are we not able to open up a field or two? I mean, are the tournaments actually using all the fields?
Right.
To that point was my question is, can the tournament start at 2 o'clock on Saturday and they accommodate the Little League or no? I don't know the logistics.
No, because you're bringing people in from
No, I
town.
understand that.
It's
Logistics.
It's actually logistics. It's economic
we need more
benefit
fields.
to the city. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, these people are coming in town, they're staying in the hotels, they're doing this, they're doing that. So it's an economic benefit. I mean, just to give you an example, the rental fees last year at Canal Park, last fiscal year, were $88,500. That's a lot of rental fees.
Well,
that
Mayor, when
came
do we
in.
get back just as a contract?
Yeah, and to that point, and you've said that this, for the one Saturday a month has been going on for a couple of years, so this isn't something new, but maybe something we need to address at a future date. And I mean, I think that's fair enough, but
I agree, because our
there's
Little
more
League
to
is
this.
growing.
Huh?
Right, because our Little League is growing.
Well, I think sports in general are growing.
Right.
I don't know that Little League in general has grown over the years. And we had this discussion that sports in general are not growing because you have travel baseball, you have soccer, you have football, you have lacrosse, you have BMX tracks and things like that. I mean, and I get that. We all get that. But I think we need to try and get along. It would be ideal if there was a representative from Oldsmar Little League and a representative from USSSA that didn't fight with each other, that could communicate and
Amen.
hold on, that could communicate, case in point, that weekend where there was some conflict, and I will back the city that said, we reserve them and we're not out there to police. I know you brought it to their attention, but there's no reason that Oldsmar Little League couldn't call USSSA and say, hey, if you guys aren't going to use the field, could you call the city and release them in far enough time that we could do that? Grown adults should be able to do that for the kids. That's just, that's my editorial, but I would like to see that happen.
I would be very happy with that.
And we'll see if we can get them to do that. Maybe certain people don't get along. I understand that. And I say that on both sides of the fence,
I
but
haven't met anybody at USSSA yet.
Mayor, this is what
Well,
I'm
and
telling
that's
you
part of the problem.
about the conflict with the 1 o'clock and the 2 o'clock.
I think we can, well, the 2 o'clock, I think we can address that.
2 o'clock we can deal with.
It's a head butting against a head.
Yeah.
And then that just causes everything to friction out on everything else. So if we can just get rid of that 2 o'clock thing, I think
Or
that's
lock it
gonna-
in. All right,
that's
so
gonna be a
any other
big-
questions? Because the items are, I don't think we're going to address the first right of refusal tonight. That might be something for a future date. I think when it can accommodate the All-Stars in June, the majority of them, as we've done before, again, maybe at another date, we have a workshop and we discuss how we modify the contract moving down. And then I think for the Saturday thing, if everybody agrees, I think we lock the 2 o'clock in and they're there till 2. And I can't keep people from coming there if they come early, but it doesn't, you don't seem to indicate that you really need the fields till 3 o'clock.
And again, until I know what our full registration will be, I can't say yes or no on that at this time, because we are still registering.
We'll cross that base when we get to
That's
it.
fair enough.
They've been living with the 2 o'clock for a lot of years.
Okay.
Live with the 2 o'clock, keep everybody away from there
It
until
had
2
been till 3
o'clock, and
o'clock
that'll
until
solve
last
that
year.
friction.
Well, I also want to commend the Oldsmar Little League for doing an outstanding effort on getting the financials straightened out. You were in a heck of a mess, as we all know, to the rears of $7,000 or $8,000, $6,000 to $8,000, and
It just wasn't the money.
no, there was a lot of things, and I commend you guys for straightening that out. But I also, as Councilmember Beaverland indicated, I want to make sure that we focus on this as the kids, and we sometimes adults get our heads too far into the game, and all I remember was going for ice cream after. I don't remember any of this as a kid growing up, and the coach always bought.
So the schedule we have already.
We'll discuss that, but I think, I don't think I'm prepared to change that at this point. I think we're prepared to discuss it at a future point, but if you've already been doing this for 3 years under the same use agreement, that hasn't changed. That's not a change they're asking for it, but that's the way we've accommodated in years past.
The way it's presented this evening in your packet is the same as it has been for last year on that
With the
point.
understanding that 2 o'clock is 2 o'clock for everybody.
Except when we have it rented for a term.
But what does that go with that first issue with us having at least one field reserved for our intermediate team, which will be playing games at 3 or 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoons?
I don't think we can negotiate that at
I don't think,
we're sitting here negotiating the contract all over again. That should be negotiated before. I wish we had known about that.
Well, that was one of the, when Mr. Reeves had sent me the use agreement, that was one of the things that I
mean, if the
included
fields aren't being
in the
used,
amendment.
we'll accommodate them as.
is that, for this year, is that acceptable that if the fields aren't in use and you can tell them the days that you need them, that we will try and.
Tell him ahead of time.
Huh?
You know, that when the fields aren't available, we can tell him ahead of time and
lock them in.
Yeah.
Well, next year we will know about the intermediate people, this whole
We
council.
don't get the schedule from district until the middle of February.
But that's fine, but for next year, this whole council.
Well, let's see how it goes this year. Let's see if we can accommodate you like we do the All-Stars. And we've got enough fields, and, they do sit dormant sometimes, so let's address that. Any other questions?
The intermediate, that's rather new now. We've had it a few years ago, but we haven't had it for a few years. Now we're getting it again, and that's a very important age group, 11 to 13, to keep them in
11 to
sports.
13, and it's a dual roster opportunity for kids. What it is, it's the fields, the standard Little League fields, which is the 60-foot bases, the 45-foot pitching, and then which is the majors division. The juniors division is the next division up, and it goes to the full-size field.
But in fairness to leisure services, we haven't had to accommodate this in the last couple of years. Hence another thing we need to work on.
We did it 2 years ago. We did not have one this year, or in 2014. We will have one in 2015.
Okay.
And that's why.
I think the mayor's right. I think that, by doing the best we can to compromise on both sides this year, it's going to make it a lot easier for next year to have everything run a lot more smoothly.
Lynn wanted to say something. What were you going to say, Lynn, about the intermediate?
Yeah, the intermediate that he's talking about is something I believe, and Eric mentioned, it's a new program with Little League. It's, I guess, an offshoot, as I understand it, of a travel ball team in Little League.
That's something we need to accommodate.
Sort of, they play other cities, they go other places.
And you said you don't have the schedule yet, but when will the month or around the time?
We will have that. We should have that scheduled mid-February.
But when is it expected, the actual days of play that you need?
It's Saturdays.
Okay.
But what time? What months? What?
3 or 4 o'clock is when the games are for intermediate.
But you're going to get the schedule mid-February. When does it start? Is what I'm asking.
It would start right around February 21st.
Okay, right when you get the schedule. Okay.
Might be a good idea to ask district to put these schedules out a little bit sooner.
But they can't put the schedules out until they know from each league.
Okay.
Who's going to have those teams? They can't make.
All right, so this seems like something we need to obviously hammer out, and it's great. Maybe it is something, an opportunity for, and is the intermediate under the umbrella of Oldsmar Little League?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so, I mean, maybe it's an opportunity to grow it, and we need to work that into the thing, but I mean, I think in general, if there are not any other questions, we'll discuss it amongst ourselves real quick and then decide what we're going to do with this. So any other questions of either of them? Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other discussion on either of these items? The items that are in question are Saturday till 3 o'clock, which I think we're fine with not doing till 3 o'clock, but enforcing the 2 o'clock. Is that what I'm hearing?
2 o'clock.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Yes. The other item is first right of refusal. I don't think we're prepared to add that to the use agreement, but potentially add that to a workshop or something down the road.
I don't think the city should ever offer anybody at any of our parks the first right of refusal.
I agree,
of
but-
anything.
Right.
I agree.
Okay. And then the next item of contention really wasn't the May 28th, but it was more the June for the All-Stars, which it seems like we've been able to accommodate, and I think both have agreed on that for the most part, we've tried to accommodate, and as soon as they can give us dates that we would be able to do that. Is that?
The All-Star,
sounds
the
fair.
All-Star season is important.
So if we, as the use agreement sits, correct me if I'm wrong, if we just enforce the 2 o'clock component of it, we don't have to change anything and we can approve it the way it is.
That would be my understanding, yes.
Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Just need a second. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Passes. Is that everybody? 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, and we'll definitely work towards making that. And bring us a trophy this year, if you could, please.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, item 17, consider adoption of Resolution 2015-01, reestablishing the Leisure Services Advisory Board, modifying the number of board members and quorum requirement, repealing Resolution 2010-13, and providing for an effective date. The main provisions of the reestablishment of the Leisure Services Advisory Board include, and the membership would go from 13 to 11 members with 2 alternates. There's a provision added in this resolution that any board member who fails to attend 3 meetings of the board during a 12-month period shall be subject to removal from the board. And then also it has a new stipulation that the minutes and records of the board will be kept by the city clerk, and that was something new as well. So those are the what I would call the significant changes. I'll read the resolution by title only. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, reestablishing the Leisure Services Advisory Board, modifying the number of board members and quorum requirement, repealing Resolution 2010-13, and providing for an effective date hereof. That is the reading of Resolution 2015-01 by title only. Let me add that it has been reviewed by the Leisure Services Advisory Board, and they also recommended adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. This is a resolution, not a public hearing. Any discussion by council on this item? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, the next item, consider approval of the final design and authorize advertising for bids for construction of the BMX Supercross track. I'll ask our Leisure Services Director, Mr. Reeves, to provide a little more background. Of course, you're all familiar with the Supercross project. One thing that I do want to point out is also, while Mr. Reeves is coming up, as you know, in the current year budget, this project has an appropriation of $1.5 million. It's primarily funded through a grant from the state of Florida in the amount of $1,270,000. However, the most recent construction cost estimate is $1.8 million. So depending on how the bids actually come in, we may be looking at, when we have our February budget review, that's something we'll take a look at. Just wanted to point that out to you this evening.
Okay, Lynn Reeves, Leisure Services Director, City of Oldsmar. Mayor and Council, I've provided you with basically what's on the board, so I thought I'd let the audience see that. It's showing you a conceptual plan of the, I don't know if it'll pop up there or not, showing you a conceptual plan of the track. We're in the final stages of tidying up the bid documents for the plan set. I've been on the phone with the architect and USA BMX pretty much off and on every day for the last couple days. So we'll get that ready and go out to bid on the 20th. If you've been out to the track, you see there's not a track. City staff is doing that, and that'll provide us some cost savings in the front end. So that's a good thing, because that's not going to be bid, the demolition. We're salvaging probably about 4,000 cubic yards of good clay.
What percentage of that would you say is of the total, if you had to guess?
About 40% of what we need.
Wow, nice.
So
Much easier than in 1992 when we started Canal Park, and one of the members wanted to go out there. He said, "Before you do this, Councilman Beaverland, can we go out there and all work and grub the palmettos?" And I said, "Yeah, you can if you want." He had never grubbed palmettos in his life.
No.
So he went out there one Saturday, and that ended it. Come back and said, "Okay, we'll bulldoze it down."
So the BMX track is Mr. Haddock said, is the current estimate's about 1.8 million. We're getting 170,000 from the Department of Economic Opportunity. USA BMX is going to come in and actually build the clay portions. We have to provide the equipment. They're providing the staff for us, so that's at no cost to the city. So basically what the contractor is going to do is he's going to come in and build the start hill, which are the 8 and the 5 meter start hills. He's going to do the asphalt, the concrete, those areas.
All the runoffs and all that.
All the drainage and electric.
I mean, the runoff at the finish line and the pits and whatever you call it.
Right. He's going to do the contractor that's in the bid documents. There are some things like moto boards and barrier things. On your picture, you'll see the blue on the start hills. That stuff will be put on. It's an epoxy coating. But the city will go out and will probably buy the lights. Must go off of a county contract that is within the state that we can jump off of. We'll direct buy them and they'll install them. Musco Lighting will, so it'll be the same lighting as what's at Canal Park. Anticipation's building, and I know today I spoke to the John David from USA BMX, and we got the agreement. I have a scanned copy of it signed from them, so it'll be coming to you probably next council meeting, I would assume.
2 questions. How many billions of dollars is this going to bring to the city of Oldsmar over the years?
Pinellas County, the state.
Yeah.
A lot of room.
Want an exact number?
This is going to, yeah, I want an exact number.
Good.
And question,
Hang out for a while.
And when it opens, we will have helmets, and I think if Mr. Beaverland isn't on council, then I think we should invite him to ride the first race off the 8 meter hill.
I'm with it.
Bruce.
actually, let me tell you,
Did it on the first time, so I think it will only be
when we
fitting.
dedicated it to start with, and I told them I needed I don't have my own knees anymore. I said, I need a high bike. They gave me a little tiny bike. That's why I came in last. But, so I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, we'll get you a 3-wheeler.
I was going to say
That's
the same
fine.
thing.
Track down here on the right, is that the city council's track?
Well, you'd have to have a little bike that's a strider track. It's for little 2, 3-year-olds.
You'd get hurt worse on that than you would on a bike.
Something that isn't shown on the plans in the, it would be the closer portion where the trees are towards the east end. There is going to be a pump track, which is basically a practice track built in the trees, so it'll be in the shade, but it'll be a small mound,
Yeah, I remember
not
that being
anything
asked.
of
What
any.
about the seating? Is that enough?
Looks like it can expand, correct?
Can expand. It's the estimated seating. What we estimated was 3,000.
That,
I mean, I know they must.
that's not permanent seating,
No,
though.
no, but the pads are going to be there for us to bring in bleachers.
Like they do with the Gator Nationals, where they bring in stuff from Pinellas
Right.
County or Clearwater. We got Clearwater, I think, right? Don't we?
Yeah.
I told Bruce, I knew it was going to cost more eventually. Everything costs more than your initial estimation, I think. I said, I wouldn't care if it cost $2 million. It's going to bring so much back to this city and to this county.
I still, in all these pictures, in all the months, I've never seen where the gentleman starts your engines part is. The guy, the announcer dude that drops the gate. I've never seen anything.
It's up on the blue. Actually, the person that starts the gate up on the top of there's a gate starter right at the top.
And that's taking the place of that wooden lookout tower that they have right there now?
Right, that's where the starter. There is going to be, if you look in the center of the track, there is a scorekeeper's tower that's tall. It's 2 levels, but that's not that's in the track itself.
Okay.
But the starters, well, right now they sit in the, I'll call it small shelter.
Okay.
That's actually going to be on the top platform. That's where they'll be at.
And is it going to be black asphalt? That's going to be hot.
Like that now.
The turns are black. The turns are black asphalt.
Are they?
Yeah.
They weren't originally, I remember that, and then they.
I mean, even all this section all here where they're not going to be
Actually, when we
racing.
built the first track, the turns were
dirt.
clay.
Yeah.
They were clay.
All clay.
And that was so hard to maintain. I remember that, yeah.
Right.
Clay
With the
was.
rain, just in the turns, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying all this area where they're not going to be racing, where people are going to be kind of hanging out and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
that
gonna
you
be
need
hot.
that. You need
You
that
need it,
for
yeah.
the.
Oh, if you've ever been out there when you're queuing up for the Gator Nationals, it's a mayhem, yeah. So, and they do a
That's
great
part
job.
of the reason we turned the ramp. Originally, the ramp was going to go to the north, going up to the start hills, and we turned it because of the runoff from the
Yeah.
end of the race to recycle them.
Beautiful.
You anticipate the bids on the 20th? When do you anticipate getting them back and actually starting construction? I mean,
The bids are due back February, I'm blanking. It's the first week of February, and we will probably bring them back to the council for the second meeting in February.
Okay. And then start moving more dirt, actually. Okay, good. That's awesome. Yeah, I've been watching them do it.
What we need to do now,
We need
Mayor?
approval of the design. I need a motion to approve the final design.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on the design? I don't know that we know enough about it. I think that USA BMX has cooperated with Stantec and all that, so, I
How's
mean.
the parking going to be?
We're going to still use grass parking.
Do you ever see an opportunity to do anything more for parking as this thing starts to grow?
Have to beg, borrow, and steal from Swiftmud.
I'm not afraid of that.
Down the road, and by that I mean it's not in this year's budget, probably next year, we're looking to update the master plan for Canal Park, and I think a significant issue to be addressed is parking. It's not the only one.
Swiftmud has plenty of land for
Yeah,
it.
they got it back there. We can go talk to them.
So you'll hear more about it. It might be next summer, but.
Right.
And we're
6
targeting.
or 8 months from now.
And we're targeting to have this done by the Supercross series that they're.
Well, that's October.
October, right. And then are they still then going to do the Gator
Yeah,
Nationals?
I'm a little aggressive, but I want it done by June.
I'm fine with that. I like
And
it.
have more
according
trees?
to USA BMX, as far as the clay construction, they'll be here about a month. The employees they'll send in to do that.
So is the October event, that's part of this now, 4-track series, correct? And is that different than the Gator Nationals?
It's the
It
same.
is, but I think that it's going to be combined in that same weekend, right? There is Mayor, what you've referenced is the Supercross series, which 2015 is the inaugural year for the Supercross series, and it will consist of 4 races, and we will be hosting one of them in October.
Hopefully the championship.
Bid opening is February 10th.
Okay,
That's
good.
what I'm planning. Yeah.
One other comment.
Yeah.
Bruce, do you think it'd be advantageous for us to start now? Because 580 is not a state road. 580 is a county road owned by the county, that we could possibly start working with them about a light there that can be used during these huge events we have there, other than somebody getting killed out there. I think it would be advantageous for us to start working with the county now. And I don't know any reason why they wouldn't allow us to put a light there to be used like during the Gator Nationals or during these huge tournaments.
Well, that, I guess, is a possibility. I'm, off the top of my head, I would say we'd more likely just use a deputy to direct traffic for
Well, one or the other.
something that
Yeah.
happens once or
That's a good
twice a
idea.
year.
And the only reason I
point
say
there,
that,
Jerry.
the deputy for sure, because the only reason I say that is when we've had discussions about, what do you call it, intermittent uses of lights, they tend to not want to do that because it confuses people, because people get used to it not being there, and all of a sudden it's there, and it.
Do it all the time for Ruth Ecker Hall.
No, they do, but that light's always there. That's been there for a long time, but they also control it with a cop, but that's been there for, I get,
Ruth used year-round, or this is going to be not year-round.
yeah, this is
It's going to be an isolated.
but definitely got to look at it for sheriff's department, for sure, so. If we have a motion in a second, if there's no other discussion,
I'd just like to see more trees. I got to throw that in there. More shade for the spectators.
yeah, that would be nice. Is there any way we've talked about that in the past, is there any way to put shade over those?
Well, I think right now we need to see where the budget's at and go.
Because we've
Not
talked,
necessarily just shade on the stands. I mean shade.
Trees.
But we need shaded bleachers.
yeah.
We need it for Little
Yeah, I
League.
agree with overall, but yeah, we've talked about that for Little League, about those canopies that go over there. I mean, if we're spending that, I'd hate to squabble over a couple $1,000s for some canopies to cover those, so. And even if it's just a temporary thing, so that we can put them in when we expand, I mean, we don't want people coming down here and dying of heat, so if we can look into that. No other discussion, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0, thank you. Thanks, Lynn. Is that all for you?
Yes, I'm done, thank you.
City Clerk?
I have item number 19, authorize the use of the city seal. It's just mandated by statute that outside agencies using our city seal get the authorization from City Council. We have the American Cancer Society, Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, Oldsmar Cares Holiday Sharing Fund on the memo, and I'd also like to add the Centennial Committee for using the seal on some of the marketing things they'll be doing coming up. And this is for the calendar year 2015, and I recommend approval.
Thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0, thanks. Anything else?
That's it.
City Council. Comments by council members will go to Council Member Saracki. Welcome aboard. You're first.
All right, thank you. To get started, I want to personally thank everybody who showed up tonight. It was a great honor to be here and be sitting up here. I'd like to start out by thanking Linda, Gabby, Doug, and Jerry for allowing me to take Janice's seat. I am honored to be here to sit in her chair for the next 5 weeks, the next 5 meetings. She was definitely a positive force in the city of Oldsmar, and all I can say is I am going to do my best to prove to the city of Oldsmar that I'm going to continue moving forward in her dreams.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Did Jerry write that for you?
No, he didn't. I actually just made that up.
That's awesome.
With that, I want to thank Lynn Reeves. Lynn, I had the greatest 2 years working with you on the Leisure Services Board. I've learned so much from you. I don't even know how to thank you so much for what you've done.
Did he write that for you?
Nope. And also, the crew that you have, your board members are fantastic. And I think you have a great team. Your employees are fantastic, and I want to thank you for that. And with that, I just want to say I'm going to miss Bill. Bill Antozzi was a strong supporter for me. He was a great person on the Leisure Services Board. I loved working with him, and I'm truly going to miss him. Other than that, I am really honored to be a part of your team, the chamber, the council team. I'm really honored, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you so much.
Well, glad to have you here. Welcome.
That's it for me.
Councilmember Beaverland.
Welcome to the team. All 5 members make the one team.
That's right.
One member doesn't do anything by himself. He may bring a suggestion, but it takes all 5 of these people and the city manager and the city attorney.
Takes a village.
Department heads and the people to make us look good up here. There's no way we make ourselves look good like the employees can. The city manager and the city attorney and whatever her name is now.
City clerk, I don't know.
Dixon. Yeah, I'm just joking with you, know that. I want to wish everybody an incredible 2015. I hope your year is a prosperous year. I hope your year is a eventful year. Everybody out there, everybody in the city of Oldsmar has made my 50 years here an incredible adventure. And Tom, that was an incredible prayer at the beginning of this. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for who you are.
Thank you. Councilmember McGee.
Welcome and congrats to Dan. I know it's exciting. I remember, God, it was almost 2 years ago. It's a really exciting feeling to get in and get sworn
And
in.
nerve-wracking at the same time.
Yeah, I cried. I remember crying, which was kind of embarrassing, but congratulations and welcome. I actually, just on a personal note, bought another house.
I saw that.
Yeah, so, and I tried to buy the brown house. Well, I tried to buy the brown house on Park Boulevard, and it's still in a foreclosure limbo, but I bought one in historic Kenwood, not to live there, but to restore it, in St. Pete.
That's a nice area.
You can't go there. Well,
That's a nice area.
I'm not leaving, but no, it's a 1930s bungalow in historic Kenwood that's been rented out to tenants, and it's a total dump.
It's a, yeah.
And I just
probably
walked through it
shown
the
it.
other day, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, here we go all over again. But I'm excited about. Also, I'll be working on a little historic.
As if you don't have enough to do, right?
A historic renovation project. So I'm pretty excited. And my realtor, who I had randomly kind of like we happened upon each other, and he was such a nice guy, and he even had the whole historic district document for Kenwood and sent that to me, and this house was listed on that. So that's really neat. So I'm pretty excited just to learn a little bit about the history of that house. And I think, Anne, were you the one that, or maybe it was Jerry, I think Jerry joked that maybe it's one of the houses that I got taken on a barge from Oldsmar. That would be really interesting. But yeah, so I have a big project coming up that's pretty exciting, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Welcome, Dan. I love that you're here. I know how hard you worked and how much you do for the city and how many boards you've worked on and how many you and your wife just do wonderful things for Oldsmar. And I just wanted to remind everybody about the first responder. The mayor brought it up in the mayor's moment, but that's really important. First Responders Week is the 5th through the 9th, so whenever you see a first responder, thank them for their service. Chief, thank you. On a personal note, I would like to also thank everyone that has called, emailed, Facebooked me for my family. My mother has been put on hospice, and the doctors didn't think she'd live till Christmas. Well, she proved them wrong. She's hanging in there. That's what she always says every time. And it's been very trying, and hospice, anybody that's had to deal with hospice, I can tell you they're angels on earth. And if people think I'm crazy for believing in angels, I don't care, because hospice is their angels. Yeah. And just last weekend, my grandmother was put on hospice. So not mother and daughter, my mom and my dad's mom. So it's been very trying. So thank you all for your patience on how long it takes me to get back with you on emails, because it's taking me a while. And thank you for prayers, and continue to pray for my family, please. And that's it.
It's a great organization, definitely.
It's amazing. We couldn't do it without them. It's amazing.
Thank you. I only have a couple of things. I just want to remind you again of the Candidates Forum Tuesday, January 13th, right here in the council chambers for those vying for seat 1. And I'd like you to come out. It's part of the process. And it's exciting. It's interesting to see. I've been part of it before, and you think you're prepared, and then they start asking you questions, and you drive off into a ditch, you know, with your answers. But 7 o'clock. But and it's free. Come out. You know, it's part of the political process, so be a part of it. In City Hall, they're setting up an art exhibit displaying the photographs of Stephen Gregory, created merging images, fabric construction, and exaggerations. His photos are up there. It's kind of neat. If you never get a chance to stop by City Hall, it's neat when they do that and they exhibit art. I know we've had in the past people that have hoped that we'd have some kind of an art facility, but I think the City Hall works very well for displaying that, both from local artists and the schools, so go by and do that. The only other question I have is, I know we had on the budget moved up the road improvements for the road to the environmental center, and I was back there the other day showing my mom on her nickel tour of Oldsmar, and I was just curious what the status or where that may be and what the status of the environmental center might be, or you know, I don't know. I saw it's been paved.
Bay.
Yeah.
We were out there today. I had lunch with my beautiful wife out there, and that road was great.
Isn't it? Oh,
It was incredible. The holes weren't that big.
It's big.
Yeah.
We have hired a surveyor to do the survey and topo work, so we can then get some engineering services to get it done.
Because it'd be not, you hate to have people going back there and knock their fillings out.
Right, and they're starting to work on the restroom walls.
That might be done. I mean, I was out there the other day and they were.
This spring, we're gonna start, they're starting to put the walls up here.
It's amazing if you haven't been out there to look at it. I mean, because it's a free span, 10,000 square foot free span facility. I mean, if you think of the things that you could have out there, you know, rodeo. No, I'm just kidding. But you really could have some great functions. I know there are people that wanted
Break
to have
the horse's legs.
They wanted to have weddings out there, and with it being free, no columns in the way, you know, we could have the world's largest country dance floor or whatever you want to do out there. So
Yeah, we can build a circle in it, you know,
Yeah.
mark.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Well, let me ask you a question. Because that's out there where I took my Kawasaki 200 one time and walked on one of the berms and fell into one of the 30-foot lakes. We got nice benches out there. And you sit there in that nice bench, and all you can see is Brazilian peppers and mangroves.
Mangroves, I can't do anything about.
Why can't, just where the benches are, cut a hole there so you can see the bay?
Tom's shaking his head.
Might be easier to move the bench.
Right now, this is the time of year you can't touch the mangroves till April 1st.
So get out there April 2nd, Jerry.
Get with me, if you want somebody that doesn't care, cut those suckers.
I'll cut those suckers.
Call me about that today and tell me, well, why didn't you cut the mangroves? One of your neighbors. And I said, we'll cut them in April. And, well, you could cut them now. And I said, I can't cut them, but what happens to them happens.
Well, another little bit of history. Back in 1981, we didn't have any mangroves in this town. In 1986, we didn't have any mangroves in this town. And all of a sudden, I walked out my front door one day on Shore Drive West, and here's this little tiny suckers like this, 1 billion of them. And here they go. Now, we've been here many years.
We've had that discussion as it relates to the bay and the sediment and silt and everything, and how the entire bay, all the way around to Safety Harbor, used to not be mangroves.
God gave me the opportunity to buy a half acre on the bay to see the beautiful bay. And I'd made up my mind that God gave me the ability, the eyes to look at the beautiful bay. I was going to look at the beautiful bay. And you know this for a fact, and Bruce really knows this. I got myself tore up over the St. Pete Times in the late 1990s. I really didn't care. I went out there at midnight. And for
Statute of
years,
limitations out? I think so. Is it?
for years, I went out there with those suckers, that whole dog beach. I cut those down to 6 foot for years. And one night I ran into a hornet's nest out there like you wouldn't believe. But the raccoons would greet me. And I cut them down, and then Pinellas County had a fit, didn't they, Bruce? And you know what they finally did?
No, I have no idea.
They finally give the city of Oldsmar a permit to cut them because they didn't want to put me in jail. Because I told them, come out here and try to catch me. That's it.
Some of these things are serious.
That's it.
I think that was it on story 2, story 4, story 6, and story 8. Are you done? Okay. Bruce, how about you? Tell us.
You can see the beautiful bay now.
God, I thought you were done. Bruce, can you give us a Reader's Digest version of your day today?
Oh, yeah.
Real quickly, I attended the swearing-in ceremony of Governor Rick Scott this morning in Tallahassee. It was very interesting. First time I've ever been to an event like that. And another thing I noticed, well, John mentioned this about the oath of office, that the oath the governor took this morning was also shorter than the one that council members took. But
that's funny.
And I mean, you're probably aware of this, of course, that the Attorney General, the Chief Financial Officer, and the Agriculture Commissioner also took the oath of office. It's all, you know, one ceremony on the steps of the old Capitol. And I was very happy I went. My son Clay went with me, and it was an enjoyable day. And it turned out that this was really, as they say, being in the right place at the right time. After the ceremony, walking between the old Capitol and the new Capitol building, through that courtyard, the governor and the first lady, and then there's several other people. We kind of got there at the same time, and so I actually got to shake hands and congratulate the governor.
Photo bombing or anything?
No, I didn't do that.
Oldsmar was well represented in Tallahassee today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
That's neat, and you and I had this discussion about my daughter and meeting the former president, George W., and whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent or what party you are, I think if you ever have an opportunity to attend something like that for, a leader of our state in this case, or the leader of the country, I think it's a great thing. You got to set parties aside, and the story I told was my daughter got to meet George W., and she took it back to school. She was in 7th grade and met him and got his autograph on a thing over at St. Pete Clearwater, and the teacher just belittled him because he was a Democrat, and my daughter was just crushed because she met the President of the United States. So no matter what affiliation you are, I think it's neat. I was kind of upset I didn't get to go, but I wanted to make sure I was here for this. So,
Well, it is. I got Juan and I donated, commissioned and donated one of the official bus for Gerald Ford for the Ford Presidential Library in Ann Arbor. So we worked with Ford for a year on that bus, and then and the bronze, and then he wanted 2 of them. And I said, what are you going to say? No. So,
Right.
So we went down to Lauderdale to Jackie Gleason Open to meet Ford, so he could accept the original bus. I told one, I said, sweetheart, and when we go in there, we're going in a room with Ford. I said, now, don't ask for photographs. Don't. So the Secret Service came out and they picked up the bronze and the original wood bust that we commissioned. Went in there, and so we're sitting in there with Ford by ourselves, which is a no-no. You don't sit with the President of the United States and talk with him over a cup of coffee when no Secret Service there. And what's the first thing she does?
Take a picture.
Mr. President, I have a picture of you. And she gets in her purse to get the camera out. And before that happened, the head of the Secret Service walked by the door and saw him. Like to use it as a bathroom right there. He had that camera out of her hand.
oh, I'm sure.
So he took all of our pictures. And you're right. To be in a room by yourself with a president, or to meet him anywhere,
Yeah.
is an exciting event, even when your wife doesn't listen to you. But now we have a lot of pictures, thanks to the Secret Service and my wife.
So are you done again? Want to check.
Happy birthday to Deb. Where'd Deb just go?
I saw her.
Happy birthday, Deb.
Happy birthday, Deb.
And Mayor, it's freezing in here.
Okay, yell at him, not me.
Who is in charge of the temperature in this room? I want to know.
Motion to approve the tentative agenda? So
moved.
Second?
Second. Seriously, are you in charge of the
We want
temperature,
to know
Terry?
why you weren't here at 6:30 to get a picture taken.
Oh, yeah, we have
Oh, we
to
still
take
gotta
a
do
picture
pictures.
now.
Seriously, do you want to know?
No.
I'm joking.